Hello, and welcome to today's MHIMSS webinar, Secure Messaging for Healthcare, sponsored by IQMax. Communications in hospital today are complicated and lack true collaboration. From traditional pagers to IP phones to SMS messaging and handwritten notes, finding a comprehensive solution for your organization can be difficult. In this webinar, IQMax will discuss more about the IQMax communication solution, which allows for secure messaging, alerting, and notifications, and assigning of tasks while integrating critical patient information. During today's session, IQMax will present and demonstrate their communication solutions, and we also will hear from one of their recent customers. We will wrap up with a Q&A session at the end of the live demo. Our first speaker will be Paul Atkinson, founder of IQMax. Paul founded IQMax in 1999 through his vision of using mobile device platforms to enable healthcare providers to perform complex clinical tasks, enabling IQMax to become one of the first technology companies to deliver mobile healthcare software to physicians. Paul is a recognized leader in the area of mobile healthcare technology and has been invited to give keynote speeches at the request of leading technology, telecommunications, and healthcare companies at a variety of conferences, including HIMSS, MTIA, and AHIMA. Following him will be James Klutz, Director of ITS Innovation and Applied Services for Novant Health. James has been with Novant Health for 27 years. During his tenure, he has held numerous positions related to technical operations. Most recently, he served as Novant's Chief Technology Officer from 1999 until early 2012, when he transitioned to his current role as Director of ITS Innovation and Applied Services. During his time as CTO, he was responsible for all aspects of technical strategy and operations across the Novant organization. In his new role, he holds the responsibility for transforming the culture of the Novant IT organization towards becoming a more creative organization which collaborates and focuses on driving cost out of the health system, assists with improving clinical outcomes, and increasing productivity for the business constituents through the exploitation of technology, people, and process. Following Paul will be Heath Long, Product Manager at IQMax. Heath has 14 years of experience in information technology and management, leading and implementing successful technology and information strategies and projects in academia and healthcare. Prior to his current tenure as product manager for IQMax, he served as CIO of a medium-sized multi-specialty group serving 60,000 patients in the Mid-Atlantic region. And now I'll hand it over to Paul to kick off our presentation.
Eric, thank you very much, and good afternoon. I'm going to start this presentation off by saying I have an app for that. And most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, some of you are already going to the App Store or the market and looking to see if IQMax has an app, and we do. But 12 years ago, that wasn't invented. We actually had to convince people what a PDA was and why you needed to use it. The market has changed drastically, and we saw this vision. We have a huge opportunity, and we focused all of our efforts over the last 12 years at really understanding workflow and understanding patient data. We've done that by integrating to over 60 clinical systems. The landscape is all over, and mobile actually goes from every healthcare continuum, whether it is large IDNs, academic institutions, specialty clinics, and large physicians, which, by the way, are all IQMax customers. There's no doubt that the smartphone adoption is huge. Just recently, Apple announced the iPhone 5. Over 2 million handsets were sold in 24 hours. Most physicians, most people, everybody has some type of computing device. In fact, it's actually growing broader, where you have the introduction of tablets, and then micro tablets, which is kind of a hybrid between a little bit bigger than a phone and a little bit smaller than a tablet. So significant opportunity exists. And really what we have seen going on is really a trend change in the enterprise. The consumer has really outpaced what the enterprise technology is delivering. And so what we have now is we have an advent of a bring your own technology or a bring your own device. And that's going on throughout entire healthcare, really cross-vertical, but certainly in healthcare, where people are literally bringing this computing device that is on their hip that they have, that they're very comfortable using. And they're using it to connect to and access the data, within the hospital and connect to the data in the hospital, which is a huge opportunity. One of the things that they're using this for, which you and I have common and do all the time, I do this all the time, is texting. Almost all physicians, 70% of them, are texting at some point and sharing patient data. Why? It's very simple, it's very easy, it's efficient, it's mobile, and it really fits into the life cycle or the life workflow that we all need. I go between multiple different devices, and texting is one of the core things that I'll need to do for the business. There's no reason why, as both a healthcare professional and as also a patient, as most often, at some point we'll all be patients, you should not want that in your position. And there's an opportunity to take advantage of that. However, there is significant issues with that around security. The exposure, obviously, of the text going across the internet or the carrier networks is a significant risk. The lack of control of forwarding an SMS by accident or not meaning to or actually meaning to, that is obviously not a good thing. And as we think about mobility, all these devices are walking around and participating in our life, not just within the walls of the hospital, but everywhere. So the opportunity to leave this device, for it to fall out of your pocket, for it to be stolen, is huge. And you don't want patient information to be exposed in that event. The other thing we've seen also of major security concern is the misinterpretation or typo mistakes, which could be done in text messaging, which could really interfere with care delivery. And also sending it to the wrong people or persons, that's a huge issue. In fact, JCAHO has come out and said it is not acceptable for physicians to text orders. There's no ability to verify and identify the person sending the text, and then there's no way to keep validation and keep track of the original message. So there's no opportunity to do that from a JCAHO standpoint. From an IQMax standpoint, we have introduced IQMax Communication Solutions. It's a very simple and easy to use HIPAA-compliant text messaging application that you can actually do in a peer-to-peer or individual, group, peer-to-many. We have distribution capabilities and distribution lists that you can use. And one of the critical aspects of this is integrated clinical data. This allows leveraging all of our expertise in workflow and patient information to take that and embed that and really link that to the text message. So we take care of some of the concerns around security of misinterpretations, because now I can deliver the entire patient record, lab information, vitals, all the results can be connected to that text message. We also have induced critical alerts that we can take from any type of system that you have. We can target teams that have waterfalls that can go from one team to another team. We also have clinical surveillance that allows us to take in multiple disparate slices of data, analyze that, and deliver an alert based on that. The other thing you need to think about as well is communication is just not for caregivers. It's for everybody in the institution. So that means any type of FTE in the institution, from food services to HVAC. In our communication solution, you can assign tasks, acknowledge, decline, reassign tasks, and of course, from an enterprise standpoint, tracking and reporting. All that can be fully tracked, fully reported on a screen-by-screen basis and a time basis, and can be sent off into the medical record or stored for later look and retrieval. One of the interesting architectural features about our solution is we're agnostic to whatever device you have. Whatever internet appliance you want, you can use, which really meets that market opportunity of bring your own device and bring your own technology, leveraging that and harnessing that power that the consumer is walking in with you and walking into your institution, and having physicians have any type of device they want, whether that's iOS, Android, RIM, or Windows. From an enterprise standpoint, there's certain things that you need to do for communications. As I mentioned before, IQMax has been dedicated to healthcare, understanding workflow, understanding patient data. And in doing so, we've done a phenomenal job of integrating to such things like Active Directory and LDAP for contacts. So if your password happens to change, you have a new employee, get rid of an old employee, it's all done and linked in the Active Directory, very easy and very straightforward for you to manage. Any type of integration being done, third-party scheduling systems, EHR, EMR clinical data from Epic, Misys, McKesson, Allscripts, GE, Cerner, all of those we've integrated with and interfaced with. And of course, archiving messages back into the EHR for on-site storage and later retrieval into the electronic medical record. I don't need to say that compliance and security is a huge issue and an aspect that we need to talk about, but we've done all of our homework, and being in business as long as we have, focused on healthcare, we're HIPAA compliant, 256-bit encryption, we're using the secure socket layer and HTTPS access. We have multiple ways to do the session timeouts, and of course, again, the logging, the tracking of the message. One of the nice value propositions from IQMax is we have multiple different deployment options. So we understand the world you live in. We know that you're probably in the midst of an EHR deployment, very busy, a lot of resources on deck doing a lot of different things. But this, from a secure messaging standpoint, is really not about a nice to have, it's about a must have. And so we've made this deployment options very easy so that you can, on a non-invasive implementation, get at least simple, secure text messaging up and running. And that's less than 30 days. Very simple, very easy. Implement that secure text messaging and cover that whole of secure text messaging and making sure you have that. We also have an on-ramp and an onboarding process to be able to comprehensively fully integrate the solution with all your patient information. That's your RADs, your labs, your meds, etc. So we can do that, and typically that's done in less than 60 days. So we have an easy solution for you to get up and running quick with limited expertise on your side needed, very straightforward and very easy. The other thing we've done is, of course, the consumer demands and the users demand that use of really a normal, intuitive text messaging application. As Heath Long will demonstrate, we have a very straightforward, easy application, very nice user experience with minimal training to get you up and running. It's really important to leverage all of the existing technologies, from your Wi-Fi infrastructure to your EHR to your critical alerts applications in the background. And we've done this from an IQMax standpoint. We understand healthcare. And at this time, I'd like to introduce James Klutz. James is the Director of ITS Innovation and Applied Services at Novant, one of our newest customers. James?
Thank you, Paul. To start with, I'd like to speak a little bit of Novant. Novant is a not-for-profit healthcare system based in North Carolina, but we serve North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia. We're comprised of 13 hospitals, over 350 physician practices, numerous outpatient surgery centers, and imaging centers. And like every other healthcare institution across this country, security, confidentiality, and control of the data flow are core tenets within our security posture and our security practice today. To date, healthcare systems have traditionally controlled and centrally managed that informational flow. They've managed and controlled that through the deployment of organizational-owned device topologies, which to a large extent have handcuffed exactly what Paul is speaking of today, and our users being able to bring their own technology to bear into the enterprise in order to be able to exploit what they already have in their hands. In today's environment, and specifically in regard to today's topic, specifically around text messaging and communications, we all have a challenge before us in that these new tools are becoming available today. Our customers already have them in their hands. They use them in their personal lives. They use them in their professional lives. And more than likely, they're being used to augment what is currently broken processes and communication paths that exist within our own organizations. We have such technologies today. We have the traditional landlines. We have pager technologies in healthcare systems. We have cell phones, be it company-provided cell phones or personal cell phones that individuals, caregivers any number of our business consumers use day to day within the environment of healthcare. We have in-building wireless phone solutions, and we may even use smoke signals from time to time. Who really knows? All the different mechanisms and conduits that people use to communicate today. Every healthcare institution has at least a subset of all those communication conduits, if not every one of those in their enterprise. The challenge that we have is these solutions there's very little integration between any of these. Traditional PBX phone systems have their own infrastructure. Pagers, you probably have paper lists or online lists that have pager numbers. In-building wireless phones have their own directory structures. So each of these communication tools operate in such a silo that it creates barriers for clinicians and caregivers to communicate effectively and in real time with one another. As technologies evolved, most of these technologies, or a lot of these technologies, really become obsolete and much less useful in today's environment than they have in the past. With mobile devices, and especially personal devices, becoming so pervasive in our environment, the challenge before us all is how do we provide access to information from all of these mobile platforms, be it iPhones, iPads, Android devices, a Mac laptop, a Windows device, and how do we stand firm on the core tenets that we in healthcare believe in, which is security, confidentiality, and that control of information flow, ensuring that the right person has access to the right data at the right time to make the right decisions. Issues with the BYOD concept that we struggle with today is we lose some level of control. Those personal devices translate to us in healthcare and IT as to a loss of control, a loss of management. Mobile devices are more prone to theft. They're more prone to loss. There's a more constant churn of devices. Everyone's got to have the latest and greatest technology. So from a provisioning perspective, how do you provide access on this new mobile quick turn technology in a way that you can manage and, again, provide updates in the technology on a timely basis for our users to take advantage of that? The proliferation of devices are what's really driving our need to adopt the BYOD concept to allow our constituents to use the technologies that they use every single day, not only, again, in their personal but in their professional lives. We have to move to a more diagnostic or device-agnostic approach to technology. The challenge that we see at Novant is how do we enable our users to benefit from the technology they already have, but still securing access and providing audit trail capabilities if and when those are needed. Our users will find ways to become more productive whether we give them the technology or not. They will find ways and mechanisms that allow them to conduct business in the way they need to find ways to be more productive. They're going to find the path of least resistance. The challenge for us is providing secure technologies and solutions that enable them to navigate towards the solutions we can put in place to ensure the security and confidentiality of our data. Imagine physician-to-physician communication paths, physician-to-nurse communications, nurse-to-nurse, or any other number of use cases within healthcare where communications is a real-time necessity. I believe that what you're seeing here today with IQ Communications is now an innovative approach towards securing that conduit in a way that meets the security challenges that we all face. And imagine a physician-to-physician text conversation, all within a secure channel and within the context of a patient, complemented by a complete audit trail of that conversation. Oh, and by the way, that physician was able to utilize their own personal device of choice, and we improve their productivity by enabling them to use this new and evolving technology. Again, I think overall, the overarching structure here is we need to enable technology. We need to adapt technology quicker. And the IQMax solution that you're seeing here today enables us to quickly deploy manage, and still control access to the information that our providers and our caregivers need to deliver the quality of care they need to deliver for their patients. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that. At this time, we will pass this over to Heath Long, our product manager. He is going to give us a live demonstration of the IQ Communicate. Heath?
Okay, thanks a lot, Paul. I just want to go ahead and preface the demonstration a little bit by telling you about some of the things that we're going to go over today. So for the purposes of the demo today, we're going to walk through several scenarios to demonstrate the value of secure messaging, particularly IQ Communicate's unique features in a clinical environment. So these scenarios are going to involve peer-to-peer message exchanges, message timestamps and statuses, retracting and forwarding messages, message exchanges with patient information attached, our patient wall feature, and then we'll finally wrap up with a summary of escalation paths and out-of-application notifications. So again, this will be a live demo representing conversations between multiple participants who are in separate physical locations. A physician in the hospital making rounds, a physician on call, and a nurse on a different floor, for example. So if I could bring your attention to the device display on the screen, I'm going to begin the demo today by launching the application from a notification that I've received on my iPad. This notification was delivered to my iPad while I was logged out of the application, as I currently am, and we can see that it is in reference to an unread text message. But keep in mind that this could also be in regard to a clinical alert, such as a lab value or a medication interaction, a new task request, or a page or a code. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock my device, and I'll access that notification from the iPad's notification center. So we'll go ahead and tap on that notification, and that's going to bring me to the IQ Communicate login screen, where I'll enter my login credentials and tap Login. And as I do that, that's going to bring me immediately to that message that the notification was in reference to. So in this case, it's from a colleague of mine, Dr. Jones, and it's asking about my availability for a consult later this afternoon. So I'll go ahead and tap in the text dialog, and I'll respond to the message. I'll just say that I have an opening in 45 minutes. And I'm also going to ask Dr. Jones to please attach the patient information as well. And so we'll send that and go ahead and close that. So at that point then, of course, I can return to the patient list. I can continue rounding while I wait for a response from Dr. Jones here. I could also perform other tasks as well. So while we wait for Dr. Jones to respond here, I'll go ahead and go to my inbox for the application. And I'll just give you a kind of an overview of the things that are contained within here. So we have containers for unread messages, alerts, and tasks, as we mentioned before. We can access our recent conversations, as well as system messages. Okay, so there we go. I've gotten a response from Dr. Jones here, and we can see that. We can tell that by the notification bubble at the top of the screen. So that's going to indicate that I have a new unread item in my inbox. So the way that I access that message is I can tap on that notification bubble, and that's going to bring up a quick actions menu. And so I'm going to go ahead and select unread messages. And so we see a brief preview of the message here. So I'll go ahead and tap on the message to view the full context of the message. And I noticed something about this particular message, that this message is actually in reference to a specific patient now. And we can tell that by the details that are located in the header and footer area of the conversation. So if you look at the footer, there's a drop down there, so I can attach any or access any attached items or information that may be included in this conversation from that drop-down. So in this case, Dr. Jones has attached Alex Holmes' information. And so I can go ahead and tap the Go button next to Alex's name at the bottom. And that's going to bring up the patient file for Alex Holmes directly from that conversation. So this saves a little bit of time. I don't have to go back and search for the patient and find it. It's contextually linked now to that conversation. So the request that he had there for the consult that I needed to take a look at the CBC lab result, and there were some issues there in the radiology report as well. So I can access that information from Alex using the drop-down, and so I'll go down and take a look at lab results first, and we'll tap Go, and I'll look at the CBC, and then I can go back to the summary. Then we'll take a look at the radiology report. I'll tap on that. Okay. So now I can, from here or from any other piece of clinical information that I may be viewing within Alex's chart here, I can return to the conversation in one tap by tapping Return to Conversation in the blue bar at the bottom of the screen. And I can formulate my response. So we'll say thanks, and that we may want to look at an additional blood culture as an example. And I can send that away. So something else that I'd also like to bring your attention to are the timestamps and message statuses. And we can see those below the individual message parts within the conversation. So at a glance, we can see when messages were delivered, at what time, and if they were read or not. So as you can see here, if you look below my response there, at 2:32 p.m., Dr. Jones has already read my last message. So I want to make sure that we note the benefits to the broader care team here, that through quick and simple access to the message, the patient information, and the ability to review results and that type of information all from the mobile device, it's clearly, again, a considerable time saver, especially when we compare that to traditional methods of sending and receiving pages, as I said, locating an available computer, finding the patient, logging in and searching for results as well. So the next piece of the demonstration here is I want to demonstrate a conversation between multiple participants with and without patient information. So the way that we do that, first, I'm going to go ahead and close this message. And I'm going to go back to the message indicator, the notification bubble at the top of the screen. And I'm going to access my contacts from here by tapping on Contacts. So within IQ Communicate, I'll briefly talk about contacts here. We have 3 different containers for contacts within the application. We have favorites, and then contacts and groups. And I'll point out that contacts and groups are global lists that every user within the organization will have access to. And those can be populated, contacts and groups can be populated either via an LDAP query or some sort of a batch import process from another non-directory based source. And also, if you look at the individual contacts here in the list, we can see their present status as well, and that'll be visually indicated to the left of their name in the list. That present status is also another integration point. That can be provided, auto-generated from a third-party system, such as an on-call or a scheduling management system. So in this particular example, we're going to create a group conversation So from the global list, I'm going to go ahead and initiate a message to a couple of my colleagues. So I'm going to select the first message recipient. So I'll go back and select Dr. Jones. And I'll tap send a message to him. And that's going to bring up the new message dialog. And then I'll add another participant. I'll go back to my contacts by clicking on the ellipse button. And I will add Tammy Nail. And we'll select that person as well. And so I'm just going to, in this case, I'll just send them a message asking if either are in the vicinity of a patient that we need to check on this patient. So let me tap that out. And the patient that we'll check on is Mr. Coleman, and he is in room 316. And we'll go ahead and send that one. And so when I send that, that'll bring me back to the message window. And if any of the, we can also see here, if you look at the status, we can see, first of all, that Dr. Jones is actually responding to my message, so I can tell when he's typing. And I also have an indicator there, if we look at the message status timestamp, we can tell that one of two recipients has read the message as well. So his response is that he's going to take care of it. Saw him this morning, and the patient was having some difficulty breathing. So this particular example shows the ability for a simple group message. We can also attach patient information to the group message as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close this conversation. And I'm going to tap patients from the contacts area and return to my patient list. So to attach a particular patient to a conversation, there are a couple ways to do that. If you'll notice on my patient list screen, there are some icons to the left of the patient names, and we call these quick launch or favorite actions within the application. So using these quick launch icons, I can quickly begin a message regarding a particular patient to my colleagues. So in this case, I'm going to select Dawn Pope, and I'm going to tap on the green new message action next to her name. And I'm going to tap the ellipse to access my contacts. And so favorite contacts are another container for contacts that we have within the application. And favorites allow me as a user to sort and group contacts that are gathered from the global contact lists and groups to create those and sort those according to my own preference. So I'm just going to go ahead and select my cardiology favorite. And I'm going to select at the bottom, I'm going to say all to select all participants or all members of that particular group. And we'll say select. And I'm just going to ask them to check the CBC lab results. And that I'm looking for anemia. And we'll send that one. So at this point, we sent a message to the recipients with patient information attached. The recipients have the ability to open and review the attached patient file just as I did earlier. And so attaching real-time patient information to a message and all parties then in that conversation having access to that information is very important. In doing that, we eliminate confusion, potential mistakes that are caused by typos or autocorrect features that are commonly embedded in native SMS applications, as well as some applications that use or depend on that underlying SMS infrastructure to provide their texting capability as well. So we can eliminate those mistakes, as well as making that information available within the context of the message. That has a very positive effect on accuracy and patient safety, as well as giving us the ability to make the contents of those messages then available to the health record. So we can also forward and retract messages. So to do that, I'm going to access another conversation here. I'll go to my recent conversation in this case, and I will go to the one that we were just in. So I'll select that one with Dr. Jones as well and Tammy Neal. And so to forward and retract the message, what I'll do is I'll simply tap on the message part that I wish to forward. And when I do that, I get a pop-up list of message options. So to demonstrate forwarding, I'll tap forward. And that's going to bring up, again, the familiar message window with our message part contained within that and attached. And so from here, again, using the contacts features, I can select my desired contact. I'll tap on the ellipse. And in this case, I'm going to just, we'll select Arthur Riggs from the list and tap select. And then send the message just as we would normally. And that completes the forward. So if I make a mistake, such as if I'm in a hurry and I select the wrong recipient or accidentally send the wrong information or the wrong message to the wrong person, I can retract any message that I've created. So in this case, I just want to retract the forwarded message here that I just sent to Arthur. So to do that again, we'll tap on that and we'll select retract from the message options. So the message is still available within the sender's side, or my side of the conversation, but it has now been removed from view of the recipient. And also you can see here that retracted messages will appear shaded and highlighted in red on the sender's side of the screen as well. So as we can see, a group conversation works in the exact same way as a peer-to-peer conversation. And so the benefit, again, of distributing single or multiple messages to the entire care team helps immensely in coordinated care situations. And so as I was doing that, if we go back to our notification bubble, it looks like I have another message that I need to review here. So we'll go back to tap on the notification bubble and go back to unread messages. And tapping on that message, I can see that this one is in regard to patient Adam Cleveland. And it states that the patient here in room 330 needs his bandages changed. So this is a good place to discuss another useful feature in IQ Communicate that we call the patient wall. And so to demonstrate the wall, I'm going to go ahead and respond to the sender and let him know that I'm going to take care of this request by posting a message to the patient wall. So I'll just say I'll post to the wall and send that. So the way that we access the patient wall is either via the quick launch button that we saw earlier on the patient list screen, or we can also do that via the patient information screen. So since the sender has already attached the patient file to this particular conversation, I'm going to go ahead and access the patient wall link from the patient information screen. So we'll tap Go next to Adam Cleveland, and then we'll tap on Patient Wall there in the middle of the screen. So what we're looking at now is the patient wall for Adam Cleveland. And we can see some various messages that have been posted over time here. And so this patient wall is available for all patients, and it remains active for the duration of the patient encounter. So then at the end of the encounter, such as when the patient is discharged, for example, we can take the contents of this wall and export those to the facility's EMR, or we can also export it and archive it for storage on site. The patient wall also provides a continuous thread of messages that are posted by users who have access to the patient within the application. So anyone that has access to the patient can view and post to the wall. This is very beneficial in patient care transitions, as well as acting as sort of a post board, which is useful for clinical staff who may be attending to multiple patients at the same time. So I'll go ahead and tap in the message dialog there and post the message on the wall that's going to let the care team know that we need to address the bandage change. So I'll just add that message that he needs the dressings changed, and we'll post that to the wall. Also, another point is in addition to posting non-critical notes to a patient's wall, allowing multiple care providers quick and easy access to follow a patient's progress, addresses some of the stage 2 meaningful use transition of care requirements. It allows us a way, again, exporting this information to the EHR allows us for another method of easily documenting transitions in the facilities, the available of real-time information across the care team and the care continuum. So we'll go ahead and close that. So finally, the fourth thing here, if you'll remember, we began the demonstration, I accessed IQ Communicate from a message notification on my iPad. So how are these notifications configured? So we'll go ahead and demonstrate how a user can quickly change their status and notification setting with a few taps of the screen. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, tap on the message indicator, go back to recent conversations. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to the first message that I received from Dr. Jones regarding Alex Holmes. And I'm going to let Dr. Jones know that I'll be leaving the hospital for the rest of the day. So we'll go ahead and send that message. And so with that, I'll go ahead and close out of this, and I'll return back to my patient list. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to change my present status to offline. And so the way that I can do that is I can tap on my name in the upper left-hand corner, and that gives me my available manual status options. So I'm going to select offline. And as I do that, I'll appear offline to other users as a contact, but I can still receive and respond to messages. So the next thing that I need to do here is I need to let the application know where I would like message notifications or alert notifications sent when I'm logged out of the application. So this is accomplished from our inbox. And I'll do that. I'll tap on the message indicator again and tap the Go to Inbox link. And then we have a link at the bottom there, a drop-down that says Unread Message Notifications. So I'll go ahead and select Go there. And so now we're in the message notification configuration screen. And this is where we can see that I already have a couple notification rules created. And what these are going to do is they're going to send any unread message notifications that I have to my iPad. That's the first rule. And then the second rule is that after that escalates, after a period of 5 minutes, I want it to email me. I could also have that sent to another user or change it to another device. In this particular instance, since I'm leaving for the day, I just want to be notified of messages on my other mobile device, which in this case is going to be my iPhone. So to do that, I'm going to modify the first rule, and in the device drop-down, we're going to see a listing of all of the particular devices that I have registered in the system. So I'm just going to change that from my iPad to my iPhone. And then another point that I want to make, so before I save the rule, I want to make a point that we can set an unlimited number of these notification rules, and that allows me to, as I said, select different devices and also different pathways to deliver that notification. So at this point, the last thing that I need to do here is tap Save to save the rule, and I can log out of the application. So as a recap, we've looked at IQ Communicate now from a simple text messaging perspective with one-to-one and group conversations. We've included patient information. We've looked at forwarding and retracting, the patient wall, customizing our presence, and our message notification settings. So that'll conclude the demo. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Heath. I appreciate that. Before we go to the Q&A portion of the presentation, we're going to be doing an exit survey, and so you'll see that pop up. If you could complete that, fill that out for us, we would appreciate that. At this time, we'll go ahead and move into the Q&A section of the webinar. So you'll notice on the bottom left-hand side portion of the screen, there's an area where you can actually submit your questions, and we will try our best to answer as many questions as we can. A lot of them will be redundant, so we'll try to do our best. I'm going to turn this over to Mark, who's going to aid us in moderating the Q&A session. Mark?
Yes, got a few questions coming in. Paul, this first one is for you. What operating systems do you currently support?
Yes, so we are agnostic to whatever device you have. So it's Internet appliance based, so you can use iOS, BlackBerry RIM, Windows Mobile, anything that has a consistent, persistent Internet connection, you can use that, which really fits into the BYOD, BYOT. And another thing on that vein, I didn't point this out in my section of the presentation, and this is a very important point to point out, is in our architectural design, there is no patient information on the device. There is no PHI. We've done this all via the web, so it's in the cloud, which is very important from a mobile standpoint. So, Mark, I'll turn it back to you.
Yes, the second question, I think it's for Heath. Are you able to send and receive messages when you're logged out of the system?
Yes, as far as receiving messages when you're logged out of the system, yes, absolutely. And so what happens there is, again, as I went over in the demo, you'll get, we can configure those notifications so that you'll be alerted on your particular device or through an email, whatever your particular pathway of preference is, you'll be alerted that you have a message waiting in the system. Of course, the only way to actually send a message is to log into the application and send, but you can receive message notifications outside of the application when you're logged out.
Okay. Got another one for Paul. What is the typical implementation timeline for your communication solution?
So the communication solution has several pieces. There is really what we'll call kind of the entry-level, simple, secure, HIPAA-compliant text messaging. Literally, that can be up in sub-30 days. Very simple, very straightforward. We do, as we've demonstrated with Heath, we have our integrated, our patient-integrated, contextually integrated text messaging, which takes a little bit longer, and that is still sub-60 days of integration. So anywhere from less than 30 days, less than 60 days, and that's integrated. And we can also provide you with a path to go ahead and get you started on the simple, secure messaging to get you compliant. Most institutions have people using standard text messaging applications right now. That gets you compliant, and then we can work with you to get all the PHI integrated into the solution that Heath demoed.
Okay, got another one, got a few more. Do you have integration with things like bed alerts and alarms in our telemetry monitors? Heath or Paul?
Yes, actually we do. We can integrate with those types of devices and appliances.
And I'll just follow up on that. I mean, one of the benefits of IQMax is the fact that we are a core healthcare company. There are a lot of communications companies, but we're core healthcare. So we understand patient data. We've integrated with over 60-plus systems. We understand workflow, which is critical in integrating and delivering that over to a mobile device. So the answer is yes, as Heath alluded to.
Great. I think we're going to take one or two more. This is specifically for you, Paul. Can Paul address integration with Polycom in hospital wireless networks and with Polycom headsets?
Well, first of all, the solution is Internet-based, so of course leveraging the existing Wi-Fi network is an absolute must, and also working on the broadband. So being able to work in a true mobile environment is absolutely critical, both while you're in the application, and of course, as most of us receive messages all throughout the day out of the application. So that's very important. From a Polycom integration standpoint, we certainly would look at that. We need to look at a little bit more detailed on the integration standpoint. Headset jacks, of course, would be able to work with that. Work with Bluetooth headsets. We've done that since virtually day one when they came out. So we'd have to look at that on a case-by-case basis from a Polycom conference line.
Okay, one more, and I'll turn it back over to Eric. This is for Heath. Is the text message integrated with the patient's medical record?
Yeah, we can. What we can do is we can actually export the contents of those particular text messages, for example, so that they could be, for example, they could be tied to that encounter and then exported as a note to the host EHR and then brought into the EHR. That's one example of how that could be accommodated.
Good deal. I think that's all the time we have for questions right now. If we didn't answer your question, feel free to contact us directly at sales@iqmax.com and visit us on the web at www.iqmax.com or on our Twitter at IQMax Mobility or on Facebook at IQMax Mobility. Turning it back over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for joining us today. If you'd like to view the archive of this webinar or share it with a colleague, please visit the On-Demand Webinar section on mhims.org. Thanks again, and have a nice day.